On the AP Calculus test, the test is broken up into two sections, a non-calculator section in which you're not allowed to use your calculator at all, and then a calculator section in which you're expected to know how to use the features of a graphing calculator. One of the things that we need to know how to do in a graphing calculator is actually type those equations in. So at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to correctly graph functions on the graphing calculator. So here we go. All right, here are some just pointers for you as you go to graph some things, and these would be some tricky spots that you might run into. The first one is if we're going to graph the equation y equals square root quantity x plus 2, the way that you're going to type that in your calculator is you'll go to your y equals screen, and then when you do that, you're going to press the square root button, and then you put the quantity x plus 2 in parentheses. The first parenthesis will automatically show up, and then you'll just have to put in that second parenthesis, and that will do it. All right, let's say this time only the x is underneath the square root. So notice this time the plus 2 is on the outside. So the way that you're going to type that in, you're still going to put a square root. That parenthesis will just show up. You'll put an x, and this time you're going to close that parenthesis right there because that's the only thing that you want underneath the square root sign. And then you can type in plus 2. So that's the difference between those ones. All right, the next ones, if you're going to be graphing cosine x or sine of x, or tangent of x, or anything that's a trigonometric function, whether it's sine, cosine 2x or whatever, you need to make sure that you check your mode, and there is a mode button on the calculator. It needs to be in radians. We will at all times in calculus use radians, so you can always make sure when you start to use your calculator for the day that it is in radians. If you don't, you'll get a straight line instead of a curve, which we know the trigonometric functions look like. All right, the next one, if I want to do something that is an absolute value, like an example, if I have like the absolute value of x plus 3, what I need to do is go to math and then num, which is just a number feature, and then ABS. And when you do that, what you'll notice is on your screen, it will then say ABS parenthesis, and then that feature works a lot like the square root parenthesis that we dealt with in guideline number 1 and 2. Okay, the next one, if we want to graph something that is a fraction, so let's say I have y equals x plus 3 over x minus 2. To graph that and type it in, we want to make sure that the calculator knows which things are in the numerator and which things are in the denominator. So the way that you would type it in, you'd put the numerator in parentheses and then hit your divide sign, and then make sure that you put the denominator in parentheses. Otherwise, you're definitely going to get something that you are not supposed to get. Right, if you can't see the graph, usually it's just that the window of your graph is set to something that you're not sure of. One thing that you can do is change your window, or you could also use the zoom feature. And just a few of the zoom features that I like to use, zoom fit is a really good option. It kind of fits the graph to the information that you typed in. And then another good thing, we can zoom in or zoom out. And those just take a little bit of playing with to find where things are. Again, it doesn't mean that there's not a graph, it just means you're not seeing the part of the graph that's on the screen. So now hopefully from there, you'll be able to type things into your calculator.